The teaching chamber was dark and cold. Red lights glowed from the walls like angry eyes. 20 young cubs sat on the stone floor, their silver fur standing up from the chill. Their tails curled around their bodies for warmth. Their ears turned toward the front of the room where elders stood waiting. Was old. Her muzzle was covered with scars from battles fought long ago. One of her eyes was cloudy and blind, but her voice was still strong, and when she spoke, every cub listened. "Today," she said, "I will teach you about the most dangerous species in the galaxy." The cubs looked at each other with excitement. They loved stories about danger. They were, after all, their people were hunters. They had claws that could tear through metal. They had fangs that could bite through bone. They were the strongest species on their world, and they were proud of it. Touched a panel on the wall. A picture appeared in the air above her head. It showed a strange creature standing on 2 legs. It had no fur except for a patch on top of its head. Its face was flat. Its eyes faced forward like a predator, but its body looked soft and weak. It had no claws. Its teeth were small and blunt. The cubs started to laugh. "This," said a young female named. She was bigger than the other cubs and bolder too. "This is the most dangerous species. It looks like something we would eat for breakfast." The other cubs laughed harder. Even Shy Little, who usually stayed quiet, made a sound of amusement. His brother puffed out his chest and showed his fangs. "I could kill 10 of them," said, "maybe 20. Did not laugh, she did not smile. She waited until the chamber was quiet again. Then she spoke in a voice as cold as winter wind. "This creature is called a human, and if you ever meet one, you will remember my words. You will remember them, or you will lose everything you are." The laughter died away. The cubs looked at the picture again. The human in the image was smiling. It did not look dangerous at all. "Humans come from a world called Earth," continued. "It is a small world far from here. When humans first left their planet and came into space, other species laughed at them, just like you are laughing now. The laughed. The great empire laughed loudest of all." She paused. Her good eye moved across the room, looking at each cub in turn. "They are gone now. They serve humans as allies. The empire fell apart from the inside because too many of its people wanted to live with humans instead of fighting them, and humans did not fire a single weapon to make any of this happen." His ears went flat against her head. "That is impossible. How can you defeat an enemy without fighting?" "That is what makes them dangerous," said. "They do not fight like we do. They do not need to." She changed the picture. Now it showed humans running across a flat, grassy land. They were chasing a large animal with 4 legs and horns on its head. On their world, humans were not the strongest animals. They were not the fastest. They could not fly. They could not breathe underwater. They did not have armor or venom or sharp claws, but they had something else. They had endurance. The cubs watched as the humans in the picture kept running. The animal they chased was faster, but it had to stop to rest. The humans never stopped. They just kept coming, hour after hour, until the animal was too tired to run anymore. "They call this persistence hunting," said. "They would chase their prey until it dropped from exhaustion. No matter how far it ran, no matter how long it took, the humans always caught up in the end." Shivered, the idea of being chased by something that never got tired was scary to him. Changed the picture again. This time it showed a human sitting next to a large, furry animal with sharp teeth and golden eyes. "This creature is called a wolf," said. "On Earth, wolves were dangerous predators. They hunted in packs. They killed to survive. And humans looked at these deadly animals and thought, 'I want one.'" "They hunted the wolves?" asked. "No, they tamed them. They made the wolves into friends, into family. They fed the wolves. They slept next to the wolves. They raised wolf bobbies alongside their own children. And over thousands of years, the wolves changed. They became loyal to humans. They loved humans. They would die to protect humans." Let this sink in. The cubs were no longer laughing. They were staring at the picture with wide eyes. "Humans did this with many animals," continued. "Horses, cats, birds, even insects. They found dangerous creatures and turned them into companions. This is what humans do. They make you trust them. They make you need them. They make you forget that you were ever wild." Stood up, her fur was bristling and her claws were out. No one could tame us." Looked at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, she walked across the room until she was standing right in front of. She was so close that could see every scar on the old warrior's face. "That is exactly what the wolves thought," said quietly. That is what every species thinks right before the humans prove them wrong. She stepped back and addressed all the cubs again. A human delegation is coming to our world. They will be here for many weeks. They will smile at you. They will speak softly. They will offer you gifts and games and stories, and if you let them, they will reach inside your chest and take hold of your heart, and you will not even realize it is happening until it is too late. She walked to the door of the chamber and stopped. Remember what you are, she said. You are hunters, you are warriors. Do not let the humans make you forget this. Do not let them make you soft. She left. The red lights flickered in the empty space where she had stood. The cub sat in silence for a long time, then shook herself and lifted her chin. I am not afraid of humans, she announced. Let them come, I will show them that cannot be tamed. And looked at each other. They did not feel as brave as sounded, but they nodded anyway because they did not want to seem weak. None of them knew that everything was about to change. None of them knew that Elder's warnings would mean nothing at all when the human finally arrived and smiled at them for the first time. The human ship came down from the sky on a cold morning. It was small compared to warships. It had no weapons that anyone could see. It landed gently on the stone platform outside the diplomatic compound, and a door opened in its side. Maya stepped out into the pale sunlight of prime. She was not tall, she was not strong. Her skin was brown like tree bark, and her hair was black and pulled back from her face. She wore simple gray clothes that covered most of her body. She carried no weapons. She looked exactly like the creature Elder had shown the cubs in the teaching chamber. She looked like prey. The guards watched her with cold eyes. They did not trust her. They did not like that their government had invited humans to their world. But they had their orders, so they said nothing as Maya walked past them and entered the compound. Maya had studied them for months before coming here. She knew their history. She knew their customs. She knew that they valued strength above all things and that showing weakness was the worst thing a visitor could do. But she also knew something that they did not understand about humans. Being soft was not the same as being weak. The first few days were full of meetings. Maya sat across from leaders and talked about trade agreements. She discussed technology sharing and cultural exchange programs. She was polite and calm and never raised her voice. When they tried to intimidate her with their size and their fangs, she simply smiled with her lips closed and continued talking. They did not know what to make of her. She is strange, said Commander, one of the military leaders. She does not act afraid, but she does not act aggressive either. I cannot read her. She is playing a game, said another leader. All humans play games, we must be careful. Maya knew they talked about her when she was not in the room. She did not mind, she was patient. Humans had always been patient. That was how they had survived on Earth when bigger, stronger animals wanted to kill them. They waited, they watched, they learned. And Maya was learning a lot about She learned that they slept in groups, curled together for warmth. She learned that their cubs stayed with their mothers for the first 5 years of life, longer than most species in the galaxy. She learned that despite their talk of being hunters and warriors, they had songs and stories and art, just like every other intelligent species. They were not so different from humans after all. On her 5th night in the compound, Maya noticed something interesting. She was sitting in her quarters reading reports on her when she saw a shadow move in the hallway outside her door. She kept reading, pretending she had not noticed. The shadow moved again, then another shadow appeared, then a third. Small shadows, too small to be adult. Maya felt something warm spread through her chest. She had hoped this would happen. She had left her door open on purpose every night, waiting for curious young minds to come looking. The cubs thought they were being sneaky. They crept through the halls on silent paws, their claws retracted so they would not click against the stone floor. They moved from shadow to shadow, getting closer to the human's room. They wanted to see her up close. They wanted to prove they were brave. Maya saw their eyes glinting in the darkness. She saw the silver flash of their fur. She counted 3 of them, one big, one medium, one small. She guessed they were probably the same age, maybe littermates or close friends. She could have called out to them, she could have invited them in, but she knew that would only scare them away. Young creatures needed to approach on their own terms. They needed to feel like they were in control. So Maya did something simple, something that humans had been doing for thousands of years when they wanted to make friends with wild animals. She ignored them. She kept reading her, she yawned, she stretched. She acted like she had no idea anyone was watching, and slowly, night after night, the shadows crept a little bit closer. By the end of the second week, the cubs were watching her from just outside her doorway. Maya could hear their breathing now. She could smell their fur, which had a clean, sharp scent like pine trees and snow. She still did not look at them directly. She still did not speak to them. But she started doing other things. She brought puzzles to her room, colorful blocks that fit together to make pictures. She sat on the floor and worked on them slowly, making mistakes on purpose, acting frustrated when pieces did not fit. She talked to herself in a quiet voice. Where does this one go? Not there, maybe here. No, that is not right either. She could feel the cubs watching. She could almost hear them thinking. They wanted to help. They wanted to show her how smart they were, but they were scared to come closer. That was okay. Maya could wait. One night she brought something new to her room. It was a small, soft toy shaped like an animal from Earth. It had big eyes and floppy ears and fur that was pleasant to touch. Maya set it on the floor near the doorway, where the cubs could see it. Then she went back to her puzzle and waited. For a long time, nothing happened. The shadows stayed where they were. Maya heard whispered voices too quiet to understand. She heard small sounds of disagreement. Then very slowly, a silver paw reached out from the darkness. Claws touched the toy, pulled it back into the shadows. Maya smiled to herself and said nothing. The next morning, the toy was back in its place near her door, but it had been moved during the night, touched, examined, maybe even cuddled, though Maya would never know for sure. That was okay. She had made first contact. The rest would come with time. And humans had always been good at taking their time. She thought about what Elder had probably told these cubs. She thought about the warnings they must have received. Do not trust the human. Do not let her get close. Do not forget what you are. But Maya knew something that Elder did not. Fear could be taught, hatred could be taught, suspicion could be taught. But kindness did not have to be taught. It was already there, inside every creature that had ever been young and curious and lonely. It just had to be invited out. Maya looked at the toy near her door and smiled. Tomorrow night, she would try something new. She would actually talk to them, told herself she was not scared. She was a hunter. She had claws and fangs and strong muscles. The human was small and soft and had nothing but those strange, flat teeth. But her heart was beating fast as she crept toward the doorway. Was right behind her. He was trying to look brave but could smell his fear. It had a sharp, sour scent that she knew he would be embarrassed about later. Behind was the smallest of their group. Looked like he wanted to run away, but he stayed close to his brother because he did not want to be left alone in the dark hallway. They had been watching the human for 2 weeks now. Every night they crept a little closer. Every night they learned a little more. The human did not act like the monster Elder had described. She did not try to trick them or trap them. She just sat on the floor and played with her colorful puzzles and talked to herself in a soft voice. Tonight was different. Tonight had decided she would go all the way to the door. She would stand in the light where the human could see her. She would prove that she was not afraid. She reached the doorway and stopped. The light from inside the room fell across her face. She could see the human clearly now. The human was sitting on the floor with her back against the wall. She had a puzzle in her lap. Her fingers moved slowly, fitting pieces together. Then the human looked up. Their eyes met. Felt her fur rise all over her body. Her claws came out without her meaning to do it. Every instinct told her to run or fight, but she forced herself to stay still. She would not show weakness in front of this creature. The human smiled. It was not like any expression had seen before. When showed their teeth, it meant they were angry or threatening. But this was different. The human's lips curved upward, the corners of her eyes crinkled. Her whole face became warm and soft, like sunlight breaking through clouds. Hello, the human said. Her voice was gentle and quiet. My name is Maya. What is your name? Did not answer. She was too surprised. She had expected the human to be afraid of her. She had expected the human to scream or run away or call for guards. But Maya just sat there, smiling like she was happy to see a young predator standing in her doorway. You are very brave, Maya said. All three of you, I have been hoping you would come say hello. Behind made a small sound of surprise. The human knew they were there. She had known the whole time. All those nights of sneaking and hiding, and the human had seen everything. Felt embarrassed. Then she felt angry about feeling embarrassed. She stepped forward into the room and showed her fangs. "I am not afraid of you," she said loudly. We fear nothing." Maya nodded. "I can see that. You are very fierce." She did not sound scared. She did not sound like she was making fun of either. She sounded like she meant it. "Would you like to see something?" Maya asked. She held up a piece of her puzzle. "This is a puzzle. You put the pieces together to make a picture. I am not very good at it. Maybe you could help me." Hesitated, she looked at the colorful pieces scattered on the floor. They were bright and interesting. She wanted to touch them. She wanted to see how they fit together. But Elder's words echoed in her mind. "They will offer you gifts and games. They will reach inside your chest and take hold of your heart." "This is a trick," said. "You are trying to tame us." Maya tilted her head to one side. "Tame you? No, I just thought you might like puzzles, but if you do not want to play, that is okay. You can just sit and watch, or you can leave. I will not stop you." She went back to working on her puzzle. She did not look at again. She did not try to convince her or pressure her. She just let choose for herself. That was the strangest thing of all. Stood in the doorway for a long time, and crept up beside her, their eyes wide with curiosity. They watched the human fit pieces together. They watched the picture slowly take shape. It showed a green world with blue water and white clouds. It showed a place very different from Prime. "Is that your world?" asked suddenly. His voice was barely a whisper. He looked surprised that he had spoken. Maya looked up and smiled at him. "Yes, this is Earth. It is where I come from. It has many different places. This picture shows a forest. Lots of trees and plants and animals." "What kind of animals?" asked. He was interested despite himself. "Many kinds: bears, deer, rabbits, birds of all colors." Maya picked up a puzzle piece and held it out toward them. "Would you like to help me find where this one goes?" Looked at. They were waiting for her to decide. She was the leader. She was the brave one. Whatever she did, they would do too. Thought about Elder's warnings. She thought about all the lessons she had learned about being strong and fierce and never trusting outsiders. Then she looked at Maya's face. The human's eyes were kind. Her smile was warm. She did not look like a monster. She looked like someone who wanted to be friends. Took one step forward, then another. Then she was sitting on the floor next to the human, reaching for the puzzle pieces, her claws carefully retracted so she would not break anything. "This one goes here," she said, fitting a piece into place. "See, it is part of the sky." Maya's smile grew even bigger. "You are right. You are very good at this." Felt something strange happen in her chest. It was warm and light, like a small sun had started glowing inside her. She did not know what this feeling was. She had never felt it before. And crept into the room and sat down too. Soon all three cubs were working on the puzzle together, their silver paws moving carefully among the colorful pieces. Maya sat with them, helping when they asked, praising them when they found difficult pieces. They worked until the picture was complete. It showed a beautiful forest with tall trees and a bright blue sky. Stared at it for a long time. "I would like to see this place," she said quietly. "Your world looks nice." "Maybe someday you will," Maya said. "Earth has many things I think you would like. We have animals there that are a little like you. They have soft fur and sharp claws. They are very smart and very curious." "What are they called?" asked. "Cats," Maya said. "Humans love cats very much. We let them live in our homes. We take care of them and play with them." "Like the wolves?" asked. She remembered Elder's lesson. "You tamed them." Maya laughed softly. "Cats are funny. Some people say we tamed them, but I think maybe the cats tamed us. They trained us to feed them and pet them and give them warm places to sleep. They are very clever." The cubs looked at each other. They had never heard a story like this before. On Prime, there was no such thing as pets. Animals were either hunters or prey. The idea of living with another creature as a friend was strange and new. But also interesting. "I should go," said suddenly. She stood up quickly. "We have been here too long. Someone will notice." Maya nodded. "Okay, thank you for helping me with the puzzle. Will you come back tomorrow?" Hesitated. Then she nodded once quickly before turning and running out of the room, and followed close behind. They ran all the way back to their sleeping quarters. They did not speak until they were safely in their beds, their hearts racing and their minds full of new thoughts. "The human is not so bad," whispered in the darkness. "She is nice," agreed. Said nothing. She was staring at the ceiling, thinking about Maya's smile and the warm feeling in her chest and the picture of the green world called Earth. She was thinking that maybe Elder was wrong about humans. Or maybe Elder was exactly right, and that was the scary part. Elder knew something was wrong. She had been watching the cubs for 3 weeks now. At first, she thought she was imagining things, but now she was sure and were changing. It started with small things. Stopped bragging about her hunting skills during training. She used to talk all the time about how many prey animals she would catch when she was older. Now she was quiet. She spent her free time drawing pictures of strange places with lots of trees and water. Was different too. He used to challenge the other cubs to fights every day. He wanted to prove he was the strongest, but now he did not seem to care about fighting. He spent his time making things with his paws, small objects that fit together in complicated ways. When asked him about it, he called them puzzles. The biggest change was the small cub had always been nervous and scared. He jumped at loud noises. He did not like to be around other cubs because they made fun of him for being weak, but now was different. He smiled more. He talked more. Sometimes he made a strange sound that had never heard before. It was a high, bright sound that came from deep in his chest. It happened when something made him happy. When asked him what this sound was, looked confused. "I do not know," he said. "It just comes out when I feel good inside." His blood went cold. She knew what this sound was. She had read about it in the old records, the ones that described what happened to other species after they spent too much time with humans. The sound was laughter. Did not laugh. They had not laughed for thousands of years. Laughter was a sign of weakness. It meant you were letting your guard down. It meant you were happy, and happy creatures were easy to catch. But was laughing, which meant only one thing. The human had gotten to him. Followed the cubs that night. She moved through the shadows of the compound, silent as death, watching as the 3 young crept toward the humans' quarters. They were not even trying to hide anymore. They walked with their tails up and their ears forward, excited and eager. Followed them all the way to the human's door. Then she stopped and watched from the darkness. What she saw broke her heart. The 3 cubs were sitting on the floor with the human. They were surrounded by colorful objects and pieces of paper with pictures on them. The human was reading from her soft voice telling a story about a creature called a bear that wore clothing and ate something called honey. The cubs were listening with wide eyes and open mouths. They were completely focused on the human's words. They had forgotten everything had taught them. They had forgotten to be alert, to watch for danger, to never trust an outsider. Then something even worse happened. Leaned against the human's side. She pressed her silver fur against the human's soft body, and she closed her eyes. The human reached over and touched his head. Her fingers moved gently through his fur, stroking and smoothing, and made a sound. It was a deep, rumbling sound that came from her chest. It vibrated through her whole body. It was the sound that cubs made when they were newborns, blind and helpless, cuddled against their mothers in the warm darkness. Was purring. Stepped into the doorway. Her shadow fell across the room. The cubs looked up and saw her standing there. For a moment, fear flashed in his eyes. The old training came back. She started to pull away from the human, started to stand up, started to explain. Then the human did something unexpected. She put her arm around his shoulders. She held her gently but firmly, and she spoke in a calm, kind voice. "It is okay. You can go if you need to, but you do not have to be afraid. You have not done anything wrong." Looked at the human, she was caught between 2 worlds, between what she had been taught and what she was feeling. She chose feeling. Leaned back against the human and closed her eyes again. The purring sound started up once more, louder than before. Turned and walked away. She did not say a word. She did not try to stop what was happening. There was no point. The human had already won. Went back to her quarters and sat in the darkness for a long time. She thought about everything she knew about humans. She thought about all the warnings she had given. She thought about all the species that had fallen under human influence over the centuries. They had been fierce warriors. Now they were gone. They had been proud and independent. Now they were human allies, living on human worlds, following human ways. The Empire had ruled 1,000 star systems. Now it was broken into pieces because too many wanted to be near humans instead of fighting them. And now the same thing was happening to right here, right now, in its own compound. The worst part was that understood why. She was old. She remembered what it was like to be young. She remembered the long, cold nights when she had wanted someone to hold her. She remembered the harsh training, the endless lessons about being strong and fierce and never showing weakness. She had learned to bury her feelings deep inside. She had learned to be hard and cold, like the stone walls of the teaching chamber. She had become a warrior just as she was supposed to. But she had lost something too. She had lost the ability to feel the way felt right now. She had lost the warmth. She had lost the softness. She had lost the simple joy of being held by someone who cared about her. The humans had not done anything wrong. That was the terrible truth. They had not lied to the cubs. They had not tricked them or threatened them. They had just been kind. And kindness was something they had forgotten how to fight. Thought about going to the council. She thought about telling them what she had seen. They could send the human away. They could punish the cubs. They could add more lessons about the danger of outsiders. But would it change anything? The cubs had already felt what it was like to be loved. They had already learned that the world did not have to be cold and hard all the time. No amount of training could make them forget that. The human had planted a seed inside them, and seeds always grew, no matter how hard you tried to stop them. Stayed in her quarters all night. She did not sleep. She just sat and thought and remembered. She remembered her own mother, who had died when was very young. She remembered the last time she had been held, the last time she had felt safe. It was so long ago, she had almost forgotten what it felt like. Almost. When the sun rose, made a decision. She would not tell the council what she had seen. She would not punish the cubs. She would let things happen as they happened. Maybe the humans were dangerous. Maybe they would change the forever. But maybe change was not always bad. Maybe it was time for her people to learn a new lesson. A lesson about warmth, about softness, about the strength it takes to open your heart to someone different from yourself. Looked out her window at the pale morning sky. Somewhere in the compound, 3 young cubs were waking up. They were probably thinking about the human and her stories and her gentle hands. They were probably happy. And for the first time in a very long time, Elder wondered what it would feel like to be happy too. The council chamber was cold and dark. 7 elders sat in a half circle, their eyes glowing in the dim light. They were the most powerful leaders on Prime. They controlled the military, the government, and the future of their entire species. And they were angry. Elder stood at the edge of the room, watching as the human ambassador was brought before the council. Maya walked calmly into the center of the chamber. She did not look afraid. She stood straight and met the eyes of each council member in turn. "You have corrupted our young," said High Elder. His voice was deep and hard like grinding stones. "You have made them soft. You have made them weak." Maya did not answer right away. She looked at the elders with her strange, flat face. Then she spoke in a quiet voice. "I played with them. I told them stories. I let them know they were safe with me." "Safe?" Another elder stood up, his fur bristling with anger. "The galaxy is not safe. Life is not safe. Our children must learn to be warriors. They must learn to fight and hunt and kill. You have taught them to?" He could not find the word. He did not know how to describe what Maya had done. "To trust," Maya said. "I taught them to trust. I taught them that not everyone wants to hurt them. I taught them that it is okay to feel happy." "These are weaknesses," shouted. "A warrior cannot feel happy. A warrior must be hard and cold. A warrior must never let anyone inside their heart." Maya was quiet for a moment, then she asked a simple question. "Why?" The chamber went silent. The elders looked at each other. No one had ever asked them this before. The answer was so obvious that it did not need to be spoken. "Because that is how we survive," said finally. "The galaxy is full of enemies. If we show weakness, they will destroy us." Maya nodded slowly. "I understand you are afraid." Made an angry sound. "Do not feel fear." "Everyone feels fear," Maya said. "Even humans, we feel fear all the time. We are small and soft and weak compared to most species. We have no claws or fangs. We cannot run fast or see in the dark. When we first came into space, everyone thought we would be easy to conquer." She paused and looked around the room. "But we survived. We did more than survive. We made friends with species that wanted to kill us. We found common ground with enemies. We built alliances that have lasted for centuries. And we did it not by being hard and cold, but by being open and warm." "Your species conquered the galaxy through tricks," one of the elders said. "Through manipulation." "No," Maya said. We did it by caring about other beings. We did it by showing kindness even when we were afraid. We did it by understanding that everyone, no matter how different they look, wants the same basic things. And what things are those? Asked. She had not spoken until now. Her voice was soft and tired. Maya looked at her with those strange, gentle eyes. To be seen, to be heard, to be loved, to know that someone cares whether they live or die. She paused. These are not weaknesses, Elder. These are the things that make life worth living. The chamber was very quiet. The elders were thinking about her words. Some of them looked angry, some of them looked confused, and some of them noticed looked almost sad. Spoke again. The cubs have been changed by you. They laugh now, they purr. They care more about your stories than about their training. How do you answer for this? Maya smiled. It was a small, sad smile. They are children, she said. They have their whole lives to learn how to fight, but they only have a few years to learn that they are loved, to learn that they matter, to learn that someone will hold them when they are scared and tell them that everything will be okay. She looked at each elder in turn. Is that really so terrible? Is that really what you want to protect them from? No one answered. The question hung in the air like smoke. Thought about purring against the human side. She thought about learning to laugh. She thought about her own, so long ago, when she had been taught to bury every soft feeling until she forgot she had them. You are dangerous, said finally. The most dangerous thing I have ever seen. Maya nodded. Maybe, but I think you know the difference between dangerous and harmful. I have not hurt your cubs. I have only loved them. The council talked for 3 hours after Maya was taken back to her quarters. They argued and shouted and threatened. Some of them wanted to send the humans away forever. Some of them wanted to punish the cubs for letting themselves be influenced. But in the end, they did none of those things. Instead, they voted to renew the diplomatic agreement. They invited a human cultural worker to stay on Prime. They allowed Ambassador to say goodbye to the cubs before she left. The goodbye happened in the departure hangar. Maya's ship was ready to take her back to the stars. She was wearing her simple gray clothes and carrying a small bag. She looked like any other traveler. But she was not like any other traveler, not to the 3 young who came running across the hangar to see her. Reached her first. The young female stopped a few steps away, her chest heaving, her eyes bright with tears that were not supposed to cry. Will you come back? Asked. Her voice was small and broken. Maya smiled. It was the warm, gentle smile that had changed everything. She knelt down so she was at eye level with the cubs, and then she did something that no outsider had ever done to her before. She opened her arms, hesitated for just a moment. She thought about all the lessons she had learned. She thought about being a warrior, being strong, being hard and cold. Then she threw herself into Maya's arms and held on tight. Came next, pressing against Maya's side. Then, squeezing in wherever he could fit. The 3 cubs and the human held each other in the middle of the hangar while guards watched with confused eyes. I have to go now, Maya said softly. But I will think about you every day. And someday, when you are bigger, maybe you can come visit me on Earth. I will show you the forests and the oceans and the cats that we talked about. Promise? Asked. I promise. They held each other for a long time. Then slowly the cubs let go. They stepped back and watched as Maya walked to her ship. She turned at the door and waved. The cubs waved back. The ship lifted off and flew up into the pale sky. It got smaller and smaller until it disappeared among the stars. The cubs stood at the viewing window for a long time after it was gone. Elder watched from the shadows. She saw the tears on his face. She saw with his arm around his brother. She saw 3 young who had learned something that no training could teach them. They had learned what it felt like to be held. Turned and walked away. She had reports to write and meetings to attend. The work of the council never stopped. But as she walked, she found herself thinking about Maya's smile, about her open arms, about the simple, powerful thing she had done just by being kind. The humans were dangerous, still believed that. They could change species, break empires, reshape the entire galaxy with nothing but warmth and patience. But maybe that was not such a bad thing. Maybe they had been cold for too long. Maybe it was time to let a little warmth in. Stopped at a window and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Maya was flying home. Somewhere out there, a whole species of soft, weak creatures was changing the universe just by caring about others. For the first time in centuries, Elder did something she had forgotten how to do. She smiled, and far across the galaxy, on a small blue world called Earth, Maya looked out the window of her ship and smiled too. The cubs would be okay, she knew it in her heart. They had learned the most important lesson of all. That sometimes the bravest thing you can do is not fight. Sometimes the bravest thing is to open your arms and let someone in.